Welcome to the Cellar. This is edition 6 now, Jose, and we've got a few beautiful things we've pulled out of the cellar here for everyone today. A couple of great bottles of whiskey, a couple of interesting wines, and also a good bottle for sampling. Let's start off with the whiskey, Jose. And the Brookladdick 25, the Mason to Whiskey Artist number 9 release.
So this whiskey technically is 27 years old. As you can see, this is the over 25 years old, distilled in 1990, bottled in 2019. Sorry, 29, almost 29 years old. Excellent Brookladdick. Very rare to say Brookladdick of this age, literally at this price.
Yeah, that's it's pretty bloody good price for what it is.
For almost a 29-year-old Brookladdick. We also have this that is a peated expression of Brookladdick. Although it's very lightly peated, it's not heavily peated. After 30 years, it's more delicate.
You get lots of herbaceousness, a little bit of fruit in there, but probably a typical sort of aromatic profile as well.
Refill sherry cask.
Yeah.
Right, so excellent variety that a stunning gift for someone that likes the distillery. We know Brookladdick is one of those distilleries that has almost like a cult follower
in Australia as well.
This one, the total outrun was 483 bottles in the world. I think for Australia we got around 4. So I think this is our last bottle. Great.
It's an awesome dram.
Great asset for our whiskey collection.
The next one we've pulled out is the Santori Special Reserve, distilled at Yamazaki, and probably from the 1980s, you reckon? Late 70s?
This will be late 70s,
even
though the tax stamp that we have on here, it's 3/4 litre. These 3/4 litre stamps only were printed until 1974 to 76. More or less when they got discontinued and they went to 0.75. So technically this bottle could be from before 1976. We don't really think it's then. It might be just an old stamp being used for the...
Yeah, as is the case a lot.
Yeah, as happens a lot in Italy. What we have here is... we don't really know if it's a blended malt, single malt. It says rare blend of specially reserved malt whiskies from the Yamazaki distillery. They are pot distills. We know that back when this was bottled, blends were the most popular thing.
The hot ticket,
Yeah, so it could have been bottled as blended, but
mostly
being
single.
Lost in translation as Japanese blend of casks. There's not really clear information, neither from Japan or anywhere, if this is just malt. If it's all from Yamazaki, if there was other whiskey that was there from the other distillery.
Presumably it is all from the Yamazaki distillery, and given the growth in Japanese whiskey as a whole, but definitely a lot of the Santori distilleries in Yamazaki going crazy. This is a good one, and it's quite an affordable price. So it's interesting for any sort of collector or something to have to drink. It's a great talking piece, and it'd be really
not an expensive whiskey to have and drink. As if you like Japanese whiskey, old style Japanese whiskey. According to this, is fully Japanese. Here we go.
Could be interesting to add to the collection. So those are the 2 whiskies going up in the old and rare section on our website this week, and there's plenty of other interesting ones there as well. Over to the wines. And we've got a couple of interesting ones. One, it's a little bit different than what we normally do, but I thought I'd put a couple up on our wine cellar for those who can't come into the store. Because this Donhoff Riesling, this is the Estate Riesling 2019, so this is their most recent Estate Riesling release. We got 20 cartons of this for Australia, so 20 times 6, not many, and we just got a handful of them for the shop, and they are delicious. It's really interesting, the Donhoff estate, as a father and son combination that run this beautiful estate. Their vines are about 15 to 30 years old, and the soil is really interesting. It's quite volcanic. There's a lot of interesting rock mixtures up there, and it just makes for the most interesting wine.
It's one of the most reputable German domains.
Yeah,
I'd say.
It's got a nice, interesting bit of sweetness to it. Of course, this is no oak maturation. It just sits in stainless steel vats, and you just get a beautiful, crisp mineral, but it's got a nice bit of round and sweetness to it. A bit like the fruit salad of Rieslings, but still with minerality. So cracking. I would probably, if I was going to pair this one with any food myself, go like a creamy dish like a carbonara pasta or something like that. Obviously, the thought straight away you go to seafood and shellfish, these sorts of things with mineral whites. But I think that this has enough sort of a profile to it that it could be good with some sort of like creamy dishes.
Yeah. And you also have selected a great champagne. Yes. One of my favorite producers, the Sousa or the Sousa. And the name of this is Mycorrhiz. Mycorrhiz talking about the symbiotic relationship between the bacteria that create nodules on the vines underground and let them absorb some nutrients. You know a little bit more about this?
Well, I mean, it's obviously from a Grand Cru region, 100% block to block, so all Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And it's just an exceptional champagne.
Very rare also to get your hands on.
Yeah, one that's not really around Australia much at all. And for the price of it, for what it is, Grand Cru, Blanc de Blanc, it's definitely one worth giving a go.
Yeah. For all the champagne lovers, this is a pretty rare one, pretty special champagne.
And one that's probably like best enjoyed in the next 10 years, I'd say. It can definitely has plenty of shelf life after this, but that one I reckon is just ready to crack now for a really special occasion. And this is a sort of wine that I'd be looking no further than oysters and sushi, sashimi. That's my ideal sort of Sunday afternoon.
Yeah,
cracking, really good. And the sample for the week, Jose, we put up a few 15ml samples, so it's really affordable, only $20, and maybe if you're getting something else, you can add one to your order, and it doesn't put too much of a hole in the bank. It's just an interesting way to try a really interesting dram. I'm going to pour a little.
Also to get free shipping if you are there on the 180. Yeah, if you are there on the 180 mark, and we get free shipping with $200, just you get another sample, then you get free shipping.
And it's a really interesting one. So 21-year-old Edredauer, awesome little Speyside distillery, a little Scottish gem, they like to call it. And this whiskey spent the first 10 years of its life in bourbon barrels before being taken out and whacked into sherry barrels, into Oloroso sherry for the last 11 years. Yeah. So whilst simultaneously getting a little bit of that bourbon barrels and sort of apples and a little bit of fruit and vanilla, we get the Oloroso sherry, takes the lead role.
Big sherry, very rich, very deep. Also bottled at cask strength.
Yes, yeah. Which is for an Edredauer really, really good to see, and often not so regular. So an amazing little whiskey.
So this is at 56.2%. This got bottled in 2017.
Yep.
So this whiskey is already 4 years old since it's been bottled. So quite an oldie there. Very interesting because they are all bottled with vintage. It's very good to have, if you are able to source more and be able to compare them. They are all what we all like of Edredauer and what we do really well is that there's a lot of variation.
Yeah.
And that excites us a lot because we know the next one is going to be different. And, and doesn't fall in the monotony of the commercial whiskies.
That's right. Such an interesting little distillery and great barrel program. So that's that sort of side of the cellar for the week, and we hope we're able to bring you some really interesting stuff there. You might notice that we've got a couple of bottles on either side here. These ones are for a tasting that's coming up. So normally in the cellar we don't talk too much about our tastings and that sort of thing. We keep it for a different video. But just to let everyone know who's watching this one, we've got a couple of really big Casadorinos tastings coming up, possibly the biggest of the year, and that is the Whisky Agency Winter Release, 2020 Winter Release tasting. We're calling it the marathon. We're tasting 10 drams.
10 drams.
It's going to be sensational.
2 hours. Might take longer than 2 hours.
It might be a little bit longer.
Some very special whiskies, the most sought out. This could be technically the most sought after independent bottler release in the world.
Yeah.
We tasted them all together. I don't know if anyone has done a full tasting of all of them.
Yeah.
So
keep an eye out for that one. And these whiskies here are for the warm-up tasting happening on the 13th of May, so about a week's time from when we're putting this video up. So it'll be a great opportunity to try some really sensational whiskies in that one. So thanks for tuning into the Cellar, and we hope you can enjoy some of these and also see you in a tasting. Cheers.
Cheers.